Thicker cloud across parts of East Anglia, particularly Kent as well, and Sussex and the London area, but any rain tending to die away. A few showers also perhaps for the southwest and parts of Wales, but many other northern and western parts of the UK will have a fine evening with sunny spells and just the odd shower still around across parts of Scotland. And as we go through the course of the evening, those clear skies will tend to lengthen, so many places turning dry with clear and starry skies through this evening and overnight, and that is going to be a recipe for temperatures to fall away quite quickly and also some mist and fog to develop. I wouldn't want to rule it out anywhere really, but it's most likely across eastern parts of England, especially East Anglia and the southeast, and here it could be quite dense for the morning rush hour on Monday morning. Temperatures in the countryside falling down to mid to low single figures as well, so a fairly widespread grass frost as well. It will be a bright start to the day for many of us though on Monday morning. That fog lifting into low cloud and clearing through the morning, then many parts of England, Wales and Scotland having a fine day with some sunny spells. Notice though for western Scotland the cloud thickens here and it will turn wet and windy through the afternoon. Temperatures around average for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No, because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning and welcome to Sunday with Michael Portillo. But for this week, as it's fairly evident, it's actually with me, Angela Rippon. And we've got another busy week of politics ahead as the Labour Party conference gets underway in Liverpool. But we're also going to be offering a bit of light relief on the programme today with coverage from the world of television, theatre and even a bit of food and drink thrown in there as well. But I'm afraid we really can't avoid talking about politics. So let's now go live to Liverpool, where GB News political editor Christopher Hope is on the ground around talking to politicians, and I think you've probably had quite a busy morning, haven't you?
Prime Minister for 40 years. I'm here in Liverpool to find out what he can do about it.
But in other news this week, there's been a major breakthrough in the treatment of Huntington's disease. It's been announced, and I'm going to be joined by someone with the condition who is going to shed some light on what that announcement actually is going to mean for patients like her. And Strictly Come Dancing is back. 15 new celebrities took to the dance floor last night. I'm going to be getting the verdict on that, and indeed the latest news from the television world in general with journalist Lee Purvis, and we'll certainly be talking about slow horses. But before all of that, your latest news and headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Very good morning to you. It's a minute past 11 here in the GB newsroom. The Prime Minister says he believes the government can still pull this around ahead of Labour's annual conference in Liverpool. He's expected to call for unity and tell delegates to focus on the fight against Reform UK rather than his leadership, saying Britain must choose between Labour's patriotic renewal and Reform's toxic division. However, a new poll by Ipsos suggests Starmer's personal approval rating has sunk to a record low, and Nigel Farage could be on course for a landslide win in the next general election. But Cabinet Minister Steve Reid's confident the Prime Minister will lead Labour into the next election.
I recognise that trust in politics is broken, but we are delivering the change people want to see. I know it takes time for that to feed through, but what you don't do is stop, start, have the revolving door we saw under the Tories. Well, I think we had 1 year, we had 3 Prime Ministers under the Conservatives in just 1 year. Grant Shapps had 3 different cabinet roles in just 1 year. We're going to stay the course with this Prime Minister, and we're going to keep doing what we need to do to put money in people's pockets.
The Home Secretary says migrants should prove they can contribute to society before they're given indefinite leave to remain in the UK. Shabana Mahmood has vowed reforms to the law, saying migration's been too high, and she believes someone standing in the community should be considered in the job they do and the tax they pay. Her comments to The Sun on Sunday come after Reform pledged to scrap the settled status for all non-EU migrants if it gets into power.
But I think in addition to coming and working here, there is a bigger thing to do as well, which is to make sure that people are making a contribution to their wider community and also wider society as well. I think it's right that we ask that question. I think if we're able to show people in our country, our citizens, that those that arrive, work, make a contribution, I think that unlocks the generosity of spirit that the British people have.
Meanwhile, the government is set to announce plans to build 12 new towns in England, with construction on 3 of those to begin before the next election. Steve Reid, the Housing Secretary, has been signing Build Baby Build hats at a pre-conference event. He'll tell delegates it could lead to 300,000 new homes across England. Labour's promised to build 1.5 million new homes by 2029. Jaguar Land Rover has been rescued with a £1.5 billion government loan after a cyber attack earlier this month. The British car maker has been forced to suspend production for several weeks after being targeted by hackers. The shutdown is expected to last until the 1st of October. The cash injection will allow JLR to support businesses in its supply chain after firms warned of mass layoffs and collapse. The loan will be paid back over 5 years. At least 4 people have been killed by what Ukrainian authorities are calling a massive Russian drone and missile attack on Kyiv. Around 40 others have been injured. President Zelensky says almost 550 projectiles were launched at cities across the country. Airspace was partially closed in Poland, and jets scramble in what it's described as preventative action against Russia. And Europe's golfers silenced a hostile home crowd in New York as they have closed in on an emphatic victory in the Ryder Cup. Rory McIlroy in particular heckled throughout the day at Bethpage Black.
Shut the
Number 2 defied taunts and interruptions during his backswing in both sessions, but won both matches. First with Tommy Fleetwood, as Europe took the morning foursomes 3-1 to open up a 5-point lead. McIlroy again singled out in the afternoon alongside Shane Lowry amid an increased police presence as the atmosphere threatened to bubble over. But Europe let their golf do the talking. They lead 11.5 to 4.5 and just need 3 points from 12 on Sunday today to defend the title. Those are your latest headlines. I'll be back with more at 12.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Actually, I have to say it's quite unusual to hear people shouting like that at a golf game. They usually are very polite to people when they're playing. So I think the British team are having or the European team rather, having quite a problem there. Now, joining me right now this morning to review all of the Sunday papers is the writer and broadcaster Judita De Silva and political commentator Aman Bogle. You've been looking through the papers. I think it's impossible to get away from politics today, but what has taken your eye? Let's go ladies first. Judita.
I mean, everyone's talking about Labour conference, but we first started on the Sunday Telegraph was a story about Trump declassifying the records about Amelia Earhart.
Oh, yes.
Because there's always been speculation for the better part of 80 years about what happened to that aircraft and made it 3/4 of the way circumventing the globe, which was her plan, and went down in the South Pacific. So he says that all the remaining documents that they've declassified some over the past few decades, and he says all the rest will now be declassified. But the rhetoric then revolves around the original point that you will declassify everything from Martin Luther King to JFK to Amelia Earhart. Where are the Epstein files? So this is just seen as yet another diversion tactic on Trump's part.
Except, of course, people have been wondering for years what happened to Amelia Earhart. Maybe that will be one door that we can now close on that particular mystery. Yeah.
Indeed, Angela. I mean, there was even a Star Trek episode. There was. That's the 37th in Voyager.
You're a Trekkie.
Yes, I'm a Trekkie.
You're obviously a Trekkie fan. Yes.
Indeed. But it was, of course, a navigator, Fred Noonan, who also went missing with her in 37. And, of course, in that particular episode, it was thought that, aliens had abducted both of them and took them to a faraway humanoid planet.
But who knows? I mean, we still don't know.
Well, President Trump shall tell us.
But he has to be careful because there was always a speculation about the Japanese being involved.
Yes.
And so when it comes to diplomatic relations, we don't know what's going to be in the files, but he doesn't want to kick a hornet's nest there.
No. What else has taken your eye, Aman?
I think it's also this story on the Sunday Telegraph front page, Angela, about the British-built wall of drones that will apparently protect NATO nations from Russia. It's apparently the Labour Defence Secretary has revealed that the UK is going to build British-built drones at pace. We've seen last night in Denmark unidentified drones hovering over there for spaces. But it leaves me with a bit of a question as to, how well equipped the Labour MOD is to fulfil that promise, especially when just last October, both the Labour Defence Secretary and Rachel Reeves were pictured flying a Chinese-built drone at a British Army base, having just banned the same company weeks ago before that. So it poses more questions than answers, to be honest.
But it's mainly a NATO defence strategy because after drones breached Polish airspace, the leader, I think, Mette Frederiksen, said that Russia poses a very existential risk to all NATO nations. So this is seen as more of a consolidatory approach to defence because also when there was a breach of the airspace in Denmark, they had to use very expensive missiles to try to take them down. It's too expensive to operate that way and untenable, so they need to find something that's cost-effective, fast and easy to manufacture, and said Ukraine will step in because they've been very effective at using cheaper drones to deal with the attacks by Russia to them.
Actually, Ukraine is sort of leading the West at the moment on this, isn't it? Because they are using them very effectively instead of sending up aircraft. And they're producing their own now, so maybe we're going to be relying on them to help us.
They are indeed, but as President Trump said a few months ago, peace is the best defence, and that's what we ultimately need to achieve with this. And there is no better way to ensure peace than to bring this conflict to a tidy end. And the whole idea that we can suddenly manufacture tens of thousands of drones overnight when we're relying ourselves on banned Chinese products, I think
no, but it's
questionable.
It's laughable when Trump talks about peace, where he decided that upon his election he was going to be the broker of a 24-hour peace with Russia, and Putin basically showed him where to go with that.
Well, I think it's more to do with Zelensky not willing to be realistic on where Ukraine stands, rather than.
And you believe that Putin is going to be amenable when it comes to a peace pact, or is he going to want what he has always wanted, which is more territory and then the breach of NATO?
I think it just goes to show how little geopolitical understanding there is in the West of what Russia is, of what Ukraine is, and what, situation there is that depends between the Ukraine and the Russians. I think, we cannot have a forever war that goes on costing the British taxpayer £3 billion a year for the next 100 years.
But ask the people of Ukraine, do they want to become, as a nation, part of a reconvened USSR, which is basically what Trump Putin is wanting to do?
Well, indeed, and that's a question for them to have prepared for and to answer for. It is not the British taxpayer's job to borrow money for the next 3 generations and pay them for their own defence.
That is a very myopic way to look. If you're talking about a true understanding that you've just mentioned of what is going on in the West, there has to be an understanding of Putin's intentions. This is a former Soviet KGB officer who believes that Russia should exist in the Soviet way today. And everyone knows across NATO nations that Ukraine is the first point of approach. He will not stop at Ukraine if you let the Ukraine fall. So asking Britain to join with the European nations in making sure that NATO holds is a protection of Britain. It's not just a waste of money.
Let's be honest. The European Union nations have never spent enough money on their defence budgets. It wasn't until President Trump, literally held their feet to the fire and asked them to trump up the rightful amount of money they owed to NATO. Let's be honest.
I agree with that completely.
So it's
that is precisely what they're doing now. He's saying they've always said
you cannot fast forward your way into defending.
Vance says they all say Europe should protect Europe. Europe is now protecting Europe. Now you're saying don't spend to protect Europe.
The argument being that actually the money that we are spending as British taxpayers is actually not just preventing him taking over Ukraine, but also protecting Britain, because if he goes for the other NATO countries, we could be in the firing line. That's always been the argument.
Well, that's been the argument, but let's not forget, Angela, that we've been spending billions of pounds of money every month on buying Russian oil and gas, whether it be directly or via third parties. We are funding the Russian war machine. It is simply unsustainable that we are funding the same guy who we're fighting against. Make that make sense?
And that has been scaled back ever since
it's not been scaled back.
It has.
It's not been scaled back.
Because Putin himself has
it has not been scaled back. Let me spell it out. Right now, the UK is the #1 buyer of Indian refined petroleum. And you know what it's made from? It's made from Russian crude. Right now, you've had record amounts of European gas purchases from Russia. In fact, Ukraine is the #1 buyer of Indian diesel, which is made from Russian crude. So this is a wider geopolitical issue. The only solution is peace, and that comes from a negotiated settlement. This war cannot go on forever.
And I think you're right. But tell Mr. Putin that, will you, please?
Well, absolutely.
What else have you looked at?
The story on the Daily Mail front page of Harry's disdain for the men in grey suits.
Well, we know this, don't we? He's been going on about this forever.
Proverbial men in grey suits. But I understand where it's coming from, because when he had the meeting that we all talked about with his father, which is, I believe, that is a step in the right direction. We hope this family can heal. There was information that came out about what went down in it. And Harry now keenly understands that part of the discomfort his family has with him is whatever goes on between us, will it end up in an interview, in a book, or in a documentary? What we saw in the last trip that Harry had is that he knows how to keep stum. What happens, and he didn't talk about his family, he didn't talk about anything to do with the royals, he did business and he kept quiet. This information coming out about a photograph that was exchanged between them, how did that get into the public domain when he knows he's going to be the one that's blamed for it because there's so much distrust from the family? So he believes that the men in grey suits, which are the aides within Buckingham Palace Operation The Firm, would put this information out there so it makes him look bad and creates more discomfort between him and his family when he's trying to build bridges.
And it isn't, of course, just a bridge to his father that he has to build. What about the bridge he has to build to William?
I've always said this, and I will hold fast to it, that because certain wounds were caused to questioning him when he was talking about the safety of his mother and
I'm going to have to stop you because we're just going to go live to Liverpool, forgive me, but because we know that Keir Starmer is about to start talking. Is he going to give us policy or is he not? Well, he's going...
Thank you, Conference. Thank you, Conference. Thank you, Liam. It is a wonderful city, and we are so happy to be back here. But, Conference, every year when we come to Liverpool, we are reminded about the depth of loss and pain felt because of 97 people. So many of them young, never came back from a football match. And then shamefully, the state covered up the truth, even colluded in smearing the victims, a stain on our national story. Now, for the past few years, we as a party, I as an individual, have vowed to do what we can to bring a measure of justice to the families affected by this. And I say a measure of justice because nothing can ever replace the loss that is felt so deeply, unimaginable loss. But just as important to reform our state so it can never happen again. So I am delighted to say that this year we do not have to make any more vows. We have a law, the Hillsborough Law. A law which shows that this government is on the side of justice, that we will do the hard yards for working people, and that we're building a country which sees and respects everyone. It's an incredibly important moment for the 97, for Liverpool, but most of all for the whole country. And Conference, we must recognise that it was an unacceptably long and hard fight for the campaigners, for the families and victims of Hillsborough, to get us to this point. And so it's not the government that should be thanked, it's not me that should be thanked, it's the families and campaigners who, after such unimaginable loss, had almost every obstacle put in their path to get to justice. But it is my privilege, and it is a privilege, to introduce someone now who can tell you all about that fight and what this law means for so many people across this country. Conference, please welcome Charlotte Hennessy to the stage. Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you, Prime Minister. For those who don't know me, I'm Charlotte, daughter of Jimmy Hennessy, who was unlawfully killed at Hillsborough when I was just 6 years old. It is an absolute honour to speak on behalf of the Hillsborough Law Now campaign group and welcome you all to Liverpool. I think we can agree that this is the greatest city in the world. Our group is filled with the kindest, most empathetic, fierce, tenacious and powerful people, all who continue to battle injustice, yet through their own suffering, they want to protect others and wanted to change the flaw within our justice system. Many call the Hillsborough Law, or to give it its official name, the Public Accountability Bill, a legacy for the 97, simply because the passion for it stemmed from the failings of South Yorkshire Police Force, the cover-up that followed, and the lack of accountability. Sadly, our campaign group is made up of countless people who have had similar experiences. Orgreave, lab rats, the Shrewsbury 24, infected blood scandal, post office scandal, the Birmingham 21, Grenfell, all the COVID bereaved, truth about Zayn, people who have died in police custody, mental health settings and learning disability settings, and their families are left with no transparency, no truth, just cover-ups and a system that closes ranks and protects those who we should trust. Ordinary people that are thrown into an alien system designed to shield the state from scrutiny and accountability. If these victims, these good people, had not have stood up for themselves, nobody else would have. None of our members asked to be in this position, and there have been many a time when each and every one of us have wanted to give up. But even storms make trees grow deeper roots. We never thought that we would get here, and the journey to the Hillsborough Law wasn't easy. But we stood firm, we stood on our morals, and we were heard. The Prime Minister made a promise, and he is fulfilling it. The Hillsborough Law in its entirety. When at number 10, I told the Prime Minister, don't let this public accountability bill be watered down now. Our members have been through enough. And he looked me in my eyes and said, it doesn't need watering down, Charlotte. I hope that message runs clear to all those who fear the truth and still continue to oppose this law. Our input hasn't ended just because it started its journey through Parliament. We will be watching, we will be listening, and we will continue to follow its progress until it is passed in its entirety. No more fighting the state alone with no money for legal representation, no more cover-ups, no more protecting those who abuse their position of power. And for those who choose to ignore this legislation, you will face criminal charges and you will go to prison. In 2022, Keir Starmer pledged, if elected to government, the Labour Party would introduce the Hillsborough Law. Here, on this stage last year, on the 24th of September 2024, on what should have been my dad's 65th birthday, he pledged it again as Prime Minister. I was invited to those conferences, and I refused to attend. And after a frank and honest conversation with the Prime Minister, I shared my reasons why. But I also shared why this year is different. And I said that I wanted to come and tell people about what we have achieved. And the Prime Minister said, OK, let's do it then. Well, this was a little bit extreme, Keir.
So the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, they're choosing to make the very first speech to conference not actually about policy, as we expected, well, slightly, in that he's used it as an opportunity to talk about the Public Accountability Bill with, as we heard there, Charlotte, who's the daughter of one of the victims. Very quickly, what do you think we should be hearing from him when he gives his next really important speech?
Firstly, I think this is dynamite because it neutralises the Andy Burnham issue and people talking about the Labour government serving its people. I think
it's a smart move to do this, isn't it?
This is PR gold. I think he should daisy chain off that and talk about we are a government that delivers and how they're going to address. I think stay away from talking about Nigel Farage. That's not the focus. Focus on what you're going to do and what you are achieving.
Well, look, I think the fact that this accountability bill is going to come in, I hope it extends to the Pakistan rape gang scandal that has been covered up for so long. But more than that, I think Keir Starmer would be talking about the number one issue that affects the country today, that is mass migration, the way it's affecting our country and the economy that is going down the pan with it.
Well, I assume that we're going to hear that from him later during the day when he does actually make a major policy speech. But for the moment, thank you both very much indeed for joining me. You will be back at the head of the next hour at 12 noon. We'll see you then.
Sure thing.
Right, coming back, we'll go live to Labour conference again to hear from our political editor, Christopher Hope. But next, a major breakthrough in the treatment of Huntington's disease was announced this week. I'm going to be joined by someone with the condition who can actually shed light on what this announcement will mean to patients. This is Sunday with Michael Portillo, with me, Angela Rippon, here on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but for this weekend with me, Angela Rippon. Now, it's always good to get a good news medical story, and we had one this week when scientists at University College London announced that for the very first time, they've been able to slow down the progress of Huntington's disease. Now, it's a genetic disease which currently has no cure, or is currently having approved treatments. But trials with a drug known as AMT-130 on 29 people who have early signs of symptoms found that over 3 years, this particular drug really has delayed the symptoms by some 75%, which is quite extraordinary. Professor Ed Wild, who's one of the researchers behind the study, said that this development changes everything. Now, with me now to share their personal story about Huntington's disease is Sarah Powers. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you yourself are someone who has inherited the gene, haven't you? And what exactly does that mean to you in terms of how it affects your life?
For anybody who doesn't know, Huntington's is a rare neurological disorder. It affects the body, mind, and the whole system through a faulty gene passed down through families, and it just causes absolute havoc. And it affects everything, every part of you, and it's in the most horrendous way. And the knock-on effect of all the families it affects is enormous. It really is. So.
Well, as we heard there from the professor, he says this changes everything. Is that how you see this, as a major breakthrough?
Absolutely. I mean, this is what we've been hoping for, but, we're a pretty realistic bunch as well, but we, I still can't believe it, to be perfectly honest. I keep pinching myself and thinking, oh my God, is this actually happening? Because that's how much it means, it really does. We'll try and do our bit for charities and raise the funds for UCL so they can do these amazing trials and get involved as much as we can. But still, it's just enormous. It really is. It still hasn't really sunk in, I don't think.
Yes, I mean it's not as straightforward as having an injection or taking a pill. I mean I've read that it involves an 18-hour operation during which this particular drug is actually injected into the brain and starts to affect the DNA within your brain. I mean, it sounds like a very, very expensive and, for the person who is involved, a very traumatic experience. How long do you think it's going to be before it's going to be available to everyone, not just the 29 people who were on this trial?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, that's, my next question to the team at UCL as well, and, many other people in similar sort of age range to me. Because obviously, we want it to be as accessible as possible, and it needs to be, because 18 hours of brain surgery, I'd take 180 hours of brain surgery over the horrors that lie ahead with Huntington's disease. So, yeah, to some people it might sound pretty grueling, but actually it's just the most exciting thought, having the opportunity given to us to be in this position, to go to surgery and, make a real difference to so many people that otherwise would be just living such desperate lives, to be honest. Sorry.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, because, many people will perhaps not recognise fully how desperate the situation is in your life. What effect does it have on you on a day-to-day basis? What are the things that it inhibits you from doing?
Thankfully for me, at the moment, I'm pre-symptomatic, really. So, but I'm 41 this year, so I literally feel like a ticking time bomb walking around. Really, I do everything possible to keep myself as fit and healthy, because it obviously makes a difference. But it's just such a huge, enormous burden to family and loved ones as well. It's not just to those who are positive gene carriers. It's even the people that have tested negative as well. The impact it has on their lives is it's so dark, and it can be a really horrible place at times, and you can't help but thinking about it all the time. And, if you do something clumsy or trip up or forget something or any of those things that we would do, but you can't help but think, oh, is that the start of my symptoms, or am I, feeling different in my mind and everything? Because that's the thing; it affects your whole system. It's not just one thing, and it literally just robs people of their lives. Yeah, it affects so many people.
Do you know, are other members of your family affected by Huntington's as well?
Yeah, I lost my father back in 2017, and my dad's mum before that, my grandma. But thankfully, this, in my family, it should stop with me. So, obviously that's a huge comfort as well. So. But yeah, it's just been such a huge mix of emotions, to be honest, this last few days, because you can't help but feel for all the losses we've all in the community already suffered through HD and Huntington's. And even though it's obviously very exciting, the new medical news, it's very hard, thinking of all the people that it couldn't save yet.
It's clearly going to make a huge difference to, as you say, the Huntington's community. But as with any new drug, it is going to need the approval of the various drug committees for its safety and its efficacy. It's also going to need NICE prepared to say that they will pay for it, because clearly we are talking about something that is going to be very, very expensive. How will you and other people who are involved with Huntington's try to persuade NICE that really, whatever the cost, as you say, you would take 100 hours under the knife if it was necessary. It is going to take a lot of money. How are you going to persuade NICE and everyone else involved now in medicine that this is something that is worth doing for people like you, regardless of how much it costs?
Well, I think, having seen friends and obviously my father and my grandma going through this, it's not a quick, thing either. It takes years and years. It's quite slow at times, but the care and the cost, in the community to actually look after someone with Huntington's throughout their lives is just astronomical. So I think, if anything, we can turn it around and put it on a positive, and go through the surgery, and we can really actually change so many more lives because of the burden and stress and the heartache it causes to everybody else around us. So it's not just the person going through the surgery; it's the knock-on effect.
Well, we keep our fingers crossed for you, Sarah, and for everyone in your family, and within the Huntington community. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much indeed. Well, coming up, Strictly Come Dancing is back, but which celebs wowed the judges on the dance floor? Journalist Lee Purvis is going to be joining me to give her verdict and update us on other news from the TV world this week, including, of course, slow horses. But next, we're going to go live to the Labour Party conference in Liverpool to join our political editor, Christopher Hope. This is Sunday with Michael Portillo, but for today with me, Angela Rippon, only on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. A fine Sunday afternoon to come for many of us. There will be some sunshine in places too, but do watch out for some fog and some frost around tonight. And there will be some rain around through this afternoon as well in the south and the southeast. And that's courtesy of this slow-moving cold front, just dragging its heels a little bit. But otherwise, a fine afternoon to come with a mixture of cloud and sunny spells for many of us. One or two showers perhaps in the west and more especially across northern parts of Scotland, where a few heavier ones are possible across the Northern Isles. Across the East Anglia region and perhaps also the southeast, thicker clouds here, so feeling a little bit cooler than yesterday with some ongoing showery rain in places. But a fine afternoon for most and temperatures around average for the time of year. As we move into this evening then, still thicker cloud across parts of East Anglia, particularly Kent as well and Sussex and the London area, but any rain tending to die away. A few showers also perhaps for the southwest and parts of Wales, but many other northern and western parts of the UK will have a fine evening with sunny spells and just the odd shower still around across parts of Scotland. And as we go through the course of the evening, those clear skies will tend to lengthen, so many places turning dry with clear and starry skies through this evening and overnight, and that is going to be a recipe for temperatures to fall away quite quickly and also some mist and fog to develop. I wouldn't want to rule it out anywhere really, but it's most likely across eastern parts of England, especially East Anglia and the southeast, and here it could be quite dense for the morning rush hour on Monday morning. Temperatures in the countryside falling down to mid to low single figures as well, so a fairly widespread grass frost as well. It will be a bright start to the day for many of us though on Monday morning. That fog lifting into low cloud and clearing through the morning, then many parts of England, Wales and Scotland having a fine day with some sunny spells. Notice though for western Scotland the cloud thickens here and it will turn wet and windy through the afternoon. Temperatures around average for the time of year.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but for today with me, Angela Rippon. Now, the Labour Party conference is now well underway in Liverpool, and on the rounds this morning, Housing Secretary Steve Reid joined Camilla Tominey, where she pressed him about Tory failures.
I recognise that trust in politics is broken, but we are delivering the change people want to see. I know it takes time for that to feed through, but what you don't do is stop, start, have the revolving door we saw under the Tories. Well, I think we had 1 year, we had 3 Prime Ministers under the Conservatives in just 1 year. Grant Shapps had 3 different cabinet roles in just 1 year. We're going to stay the course with this Prime Minister, and we're going to keep doing what we need to do to put money in people's pockets.
Well, joining me now live from Liverpool is GB News political editor Christopher Hope. Christopher, I think we heard there that Starmer started with that reference to Hillsborough, and one of my studio guests said that that was pure PR gold because he was talking about something very positive rather than all the negativity that is floating around him and the conference today. Well, what was your feeling about that?
That's right, Angela. I was in the hall for that. He walked in, he was given a standing ovation when he announced the Hillsborough law. It's called the Public Accountability Bill. It's going through Parliament now. It's going to mean that public officials will be on the hook for things they say, the actions they take when we do have tragedies which do afflict this nation. It went down very well. The number 97 was on the stand behind the Prime Minister. Of course, 97 Liverpool fans were killed in April 1989 at the Hillsborough the FA Cup semi-final game at Hillsborough, the Sheffield Wednesday home ground. So I would argue that is a delivery point for this government, because he's been there for 18 months nearly now, and what the problem for the members here have is that they can't see why on earth they have a Labour government. Why are they different to the last lot who were in the Tory party for 14 years, who according to Labour, failed. Look at the polling though. Keir Starmer now is the most unpopular Prime Minister since 1970s, more unpopular than John Major in 1994 after Black Wednesday, and more unpopular than Rishi Sunak in 2024 after all that chaos there with the Tory revolving door, as Steve Reid was saying there, with Prime Ministers. So he's got to start delivering. What we want to hear from the Prime Minister this conference is what it's about. What is Starmerism? What is the point of Keir Starmer? And if that happens, maybe he'll start ticking up in the polls, and maybe the conversation's currently pointless, I think, really, because Andy Burnham can't get there, but the conversation about his leadership won't go away, and there are other people in the Labour Party or MPs who may feel they've got a better chance.
Indeed. I suppose that he's also going to say that the government is going to be able to deliver. The question being if he's the one who's going to be able to do the delivering.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's meant to be changed, but change to do what? And that's what we haven't yet seen from Sir Keir Starmer. We've heard language today on the small boats issued from Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary. She's now saying there, and this is a new idea, that migrants, before they're given indefinite leave to remain in the UK, she suggests they should do some voluntary work in the community to demonstrate their commitment to where they're from. That goes further than the policy at the moment. That's in an opinion piece in The Sun on Sunday. That to me shows, I think many people do tell me here, that Shabana Mahmood is someone who can properly get to grips with the small boat crisis. That is the key issue. The other being the economy. That's dominating conversation here in the conference. The budget's coming up in late November. What the PM couldn't say in an interview elsewhere this morning was he won't increase VAT. Now, we all thought VAT wouldn't be increased by a Labour government. That affects people on lower incomes much more than those on higher incomes, but he wouldn't say that VAT wouldn't go up 3 times. Instead, he said simply the manifesto commitments stand, which of course is no increase in VAT. So that's an issue, I think, already troubling people here. There's a £30 billion, possibly that large black hole in the public accounts, and the view is that, of course, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, may have to increase taxes or borrowing to pay for that and ensure the markets don't get spooked about the UK economy. So lots to talk about. And just finally on Steve Reid there, under fire from Camilla Tominey in this chair about an hour ago. He couldn't tell her how many new homes have been built under the Labour government. He better get that figure pretty soon.
Exactly. I think she had to tell him, didn't she? Christopher, thank you very much indeed for that. Well, coming up, not politics, but Strictly Come Dancing, which is back. Now, did you watch it last night? Who is going to be on your winners list, and who might be for the chop? Well, journalist Lee Purvis is going to join me to give her verdict and update on that and other news from the TV world this week, including, as I said, Slow Horses, which I just couldn't wait to see. Now, this Sunday with Michael Portillo is what you would normally be watching now, but for today, it's with me, Angela Rippon, only here on GB News.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Ex-Hurricane Gabriel continues to bring some wet and windy conditions across parts of Iberia over the next couple of days, particularly across southern parts of Spain and Portugal through Monday afternoon. There'll continue to be some strong winds and outbreaks of heavy rain. A little drier across parts of France and Italy, but the Balkans continue to see some outbreaks of quite heavy rain as we go through Monday afternoon. It'll then turn a little bit drier towards the middle part of the week, and temperatures for most reaching the mid to high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but with me, Angela Rippon. Well, it's been a busy week for TV with the return of Strictly Come Dancing last night and the brand new series of Slow Horses on, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday? Well, couples took to the floor for the first time, but who came out on top for week one? With me now is journalist and broadcaster Lee Purvis. Lee, I think last night there were probably 10 million armchair judges watching, but what was your verdict on what you saw?
I thought it was fantastic. I was slightly taken aback at how harsh the judges seemed to be, certainly for the first week of them at voting. I think Karen Carney's jive was fantastic, made me want to take up jiving. And I think Ross King got off really badly, actually. I felt quite sorry for him. I was quite surprised at how harshly marked he was. And having met him several times, obviously, in the showbiz scene and as a fellow journalist, you know, I knew how utterly nervous he was. And I think it's going to be a bumpy ride for all the contestants this year. The judges are really focusing on the footwork on the floor, and absolutely everyone needs to sort of up their game. But it's absolutely fabulous. You know, more than 100,000 sequins involved in the show that we saw last night, and it can only get bigger and better.
I think that that first programme is always the opportunity for people more to decide who is likely to get the chop rather than those that are going to make it through to the glitter ball. Because, I mean, you know, so many people are so close with their marking last night, and so many of them clearly show the opportunity of getting better as they go week after week. But it is usually quite easy to find, I think, who's going to be thrown out. What do you think?
Well, so I think Ross King, definitely, we'll see him probably go in literally a matter of weeks. I think Stephen Dennis, who played Paul Robinson for many years on our screens in Australian soap Neighbours, I don't think he's going to be in it for much longer either. Again, I felt quite sorry for him, and also having to dance to the theme tune of Neighbours was just pure genius. I couldn't work out if it was pure genius or pure cringeworthy entertainment. But definitely, I think we'll see them possibly go. And I think, you know, whilst you know all too well how the rapport amongst, you know, all the contestants is very friendly and amicable at the moment, very supportive, I know that within 2 to 3 weeks we're going to have tears, tantrums, fallouts galore.
Oh, I don't remember too many tears and tantrums actually when we did it. Lots of disappointment though, but there's always that. Now but we've got what, another 14 weeks to go for that, haven't we? Something like that. But it was also the start of series 5 of Slow Horses. Now I absolutely adored that series. I actually put the date in my diary to know when it was coming on again. What did you think? I thought the opening was just genius.
I think the opening was genius, and I can't actually wait for the next one because obviously I'm just catching up as well. I think the next one's on Wednesday this week. Gary Oldman, absolutely fantastic. He obviously plays a very old, grumpy manager managing a set of former MI5 agents, and I think the characters and the themes that will be coming out in this specific season will be very telling. However, a lot of the reviews that have been out there are actually quite negative about this season. Some people speculating, a lot of journalists speculating that there isn't actually a main theme coming across, but I think as the weeks pick up and from snippets that I've seen of future episodes, we will see themes emerge.
Yes, I mean, I think Mick Herron must be counting his blessings the day that television picked up those books as a series, because, I mean, he's been a very successful writer for a very long time, but my goodness, now he's become stratospheric, hasn't he, with his books?
He absolutely has. And again, this is some form of entertainment that appeals globally and to many different demographics when it comes to age. I can actually tell you my own father's reading his books at the moment and is 88 very soon. So, you know, it appeals to a wider audience, you know, and I think that's really telling and it's really important. And I've also heard from a specific source that this may actually not just be televised, but could also be turned into a stage show as well.
My goodness, whatever they do with it, it's going to be very successful. Lee, thank you very much indeed. Now, that just about concludes the first hour of Sunday with Michael Portillo. Lots more still to come today, including our theatre review, the 200th anniversary of the birth of the modern railway, and apparently English bubbles are now better than champagne. Well, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to sample some to make a decision for myself shortly. This is Sunday with Michael Portillo with me, Angela Rippon, only on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. A fine Sunday afternoon to come for many of us. There will be some sunshine in places too, but do watch out for some fog and some frost around tonight. And there will be some rain around through this afternoon as well in the south and the southeast. And that's courtesy of this slow-moving cold front, just dragging its heels a little bit. But otherwise, a fine afternoon to come with a mixture of cloud and sunny spells for many of us. 1 or 2 showers perhaps in the west and more especially across northern parts of Scotland, where a few heavier ones are possible across the Northern Isles. Across the East Anglia region and perhaps also the southeast, thicker clouds here, so feeling a little bit cooler than yesterday with some ongoing showery rain in places. But a fine afternoon for most and temperatures around average for the time of year. As we move into this evening then, still thicker cloud across parts of East Anglia, particularly Kent as well and Sussex and the London area, but any rain tending to die away. A few showers also perhaps for the southwest and parts of Wales, but many other northern and western parts of the UK will have a fine evening with sunny spells and just the odd shower still around across parts of Scotland. And as we go through the course of the evening, those clear skies will tend to lengthen. So many places turning dry with clear and starry skies through this evening and overnight. And that is going to be a recipe for temperatures to fall away quite quickly and also some mist and fog to develop. I wouldn't want to rule it out anywhere really, but it's most likely across eastern parts of England, especially East Anglia and the southeast. And here it could be quite dense for the morning rush hour on Monday morning. Temperatures in the countryside falling down to mid to low single figures as well, so a fairly widespread grass frost as well. It will be a bright start to the day for many of us, though, on Monday morning. That fog lifting into low cloud and clearing through the morning. Then many parts of England, Wales and Scotland having a fine day with some sunny spells. Notice, though, for western Scotland, the cloud thickens here and it will turn wet and windy through the afternoon. Temperatures around average for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo. For today with me, Angela Rippon. Now, Labour Party conference is underway, of course, and protesters have reportedly descended on Liverpool. We're going to be keeping you up to date with the very latest political developments throughout the show. Also...
I just thought this is shocking. Shocking even now. I can't imagine how shocking it must have been in the early 60s.
Away from politics, arts editor at The Express, Stefan Kariasis, has been out and about in London's West End as production of Entertaining Mr. Sloane opens at the Young Vic. We're going to hear his review of that and a couple of other plays this hour. Also, it's been 200 years since the very first commercial railway journey. Now, this weekend, a very special event took place in the early hours of this morning in Darlington to mark that event, and we'll reveal everything that happened very shortly. And our national reporter Will Godley has been finding out about English sparkling wine. According to the prestigious International Wine Awards, it's better than French champagne. Well, we'll hear Will's report and perhaps get a chance to judge for ourselves here in the studio. But first, let's get the latest news headlines from Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Angela. Good morning to you. It is 12:15. The Prime Minister says he believes the government can still pull this around ahead of Labour's annual conference in Liverpool. Sir Keir Starmer hoping to revive public and party support in the face of plummeting poll ratings and threats to his leadership. Now, he's expected to call for unity and tell delegates to focus on the fight against Reform UK. A new poll suggests Sir Keir's personal approval rating has sunk to a record low, but Cabinet Minister Steve Reid is confident the Prime Minister will lead Labour into the next election.
I recognise that trust in politics is broken, but we are delivering the change people want to see. I know it takes time for that to feed through, but what you don't do is stop, start, have the revolving door we saw under the Tories. Well, I think we had 1 year, we had 3 Prime Ministers under the Conservatives in just 1 year. Grant Shapps had 3 different cabinet roles in just 1 year. We're going to stay the course with this Prime Minister, and we're going to keep doing what we need to do to put money in people's pockets.
A child has died in the English Channel overnight after a migrant dinghy got into difficulties off the coast of France. The latest tragedy follows 3 deaths in the Channel less than 24 hours earlier, as more than 900 asylum seekers made the journey on Saturday. GB News understands around 50 migrants have arrived in the early hours of this morning. Meanwhile, the Home Secretary says migrants should prove they can contribute to society before they're given indefinite leave to remain in the UK. Her comments to The Sun on Sunday come after Reform UK pledged to scrap the settled status for all non-EU migrants if it gets into power, a policy the Prime Minister has described this morning as racist and immoral.
But I think in addition to coming and working here, there is a bigger thing to do as well, which is to make sure that people are making a contribution to their wider community and also wider society as well. I think it's right that we ask that question. I think if we're able to show people in our country, our citizens, that those that arrive, work, make a contribution, I think that unlocks the generosity of spirit that the British people have.
The government plans to double the period it takes to gain indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10 as they try to reduce immigration. However, former Home Secretary James Cleverly says government decisions have exacerbated the problem.
Labour have failed to implement most of the proposals that I put forward. They scrapped the border control measures that I was putting in place. They scrapped the Rwanda scheme, and we're now seeing small boat arrivals go through the roof.
Well, Home Secretary Steve Reid has been signing Build Baby Build hats. The Housing Secretary will announce plans to build 12 new towns across England, with construction on 3 of those set to begin before the next election. Mr Reid says that could lead to 300,000 new homes across England. Jaguar Land Rover has been rescued with a £1.5 billion government loan after a cyber attack earlier this month. The British car maker has been forced to suspend production for a number of weeks after being targeted by hackers. The shutdown expected to last until the 1st of October at least. Now, the cash injection will allow JLR to support businesses in its supply chain after they warned of mass layoffs and collapse. At least 4 people have been killed by what Ukrainian authorities are calling a massive drone and missile attack on Kyiv. Around 40 others have been injured. President Zelensky says almost 550 projectiles were launched at cities across the country. Live pictures there from the Ukrainian capital. Airspace was also partially closed in Poland, and jets scrambled in what it's described as preventative action by Russia. Against Russia, I should say. Finally, Europe's golfers silenced a hostile crowd in New York as they close in on an emphatic victory in the Ryder Cup. Rory McIlroy particularly targeted. He was heckled throughout the day.
Shut the
McIlroy there defying taunts and interruptions during his backswing in both sessions, but he won both matches, as did many of the European players. First with Tommy Fleetwood in the morning, and he was out again, and he got more abuse in the afternoon alongside Shane Lowry, fellow Irishman. There was an increased police presence at Bethpage Black, the course in New York State. Europe, though, lead 11.5 to 4.5. They are on course for an emphatic victory. That's it for the moment. Now it's back to Angela.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thanks, Aaron. Well, just before we hear from my panel again, let's go live to Liverpool now, where the Labour Party conference is getting underway, and speak to the GB News Deputy Political Editor, Tom Harwood. Tom, I don't think that it's just heckling against the golfers in America. I gather that Keir Starmer has been getting quite a lot of heckling today, unexpectedly.
Oh yes, I should think so. We're here outside the Labour Party conference where protesters have gathered. We're going to be going over to a slightly larger protest a little bit later in the afternoon. But I just wanted to give you a sense of the people who've come out outside the Labour Party conference. We can see some British flags, some people representing the farmers. There are also people protesting digital ID, some more farmer protesters over here, a coffin representing the death of British agriculture in that October budget last year. But why don't we go over and speak very briefly to a man who's been helping to put all of this together. Alan Miller is of the Together Declaration. And Alan, why have you brought together all of these people to protest this party in government?
Well, Farmers to Action have been doing a trailer of truth for the last month from Scotland, England and Wales. They've stopped all around the country at live shows and fairs. They're at Diddley Squat Farm. Big shout to Jeremy Clarkson and all our friends. And they're all converging today where there's a big rally to say abolish IHT for everyone and listen to farmers. And the Together Declaration have been supporting Farmers to Action. We've helped found them all together. And we've got a big campaign as well against digital ID. And we're seeing that the Prime Minister is uniting the whole country with very different views against digital ID. We're saying no to digital ID. We're saying abolish IHT. So farmers have got signatures from around the UK. The public support our farmers. They're interested in food security, family farmers, and they know that we don't want to be in a position where we're not going to be able to feed ourselves, and they're very concerned about these policies and the existential crisis to farmers. But as well, Tom, the concern around free speech, privacy, rights for digital ID, and we're all saying everyone have your voices heard. We know GB viewers are very concerned about privacy and democracy and freedom. We've seen two-tier treatment. Everyone's very concerned about it. Debanking. So we're saying togetherdeclaration.org. Have your voices heard. Write to your MP. We can see this off. We know over 2 million people have signed this petition already. The British public don't do things like that. Winston Churchill in 1952 said, we're not going to have national ID. He's going to keep us free. That's what we all want to see here. So we say abolish IHT for everyone. Farmers to Action have united farmers around the country, and the public are behind our farmers, and we're all standing together.
Well, Alan, thanks so much for speaking to us. I know we're going to be speaking to some of those farmers a little bit later on in the afternoon. So much going on here in Liverpool, both inside and, frankly, outside the conference too.
Tom, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's get reaction to some of those stories and indeed other top stories of the day from my panel, political commentator Aman Bogle and journalist and broadcaster Judita De Silva. And actually, Aman, there's a story that you've seen that links very much with what Tom was just talking about, which is the way in which farmers feel that they are being really, really badly treated.
Well, indeed. I mean, overnight we've seen the story come out that Keir Starmer had avoided quite legally paying inheritance tax through a trust fund to some land that he handed out to his parents. But that's the crux of this, isn't it? This is a real indictment of what we have in Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. He's a Janus-faced hypocrite. He is happy to plunge hundreds and thousands of very hard-working family farms around the country into the trap of inheritance tax, yet avoided paying the same thing himself. And let's not forget, he also refused to declare it as an interest as an MP for many years, and he apologised for it later. But look, he's now the most unpopular Prime Minister in recorded history. The Labour Party is down in the dumps. Inflation is up, taxes are up, debt is up, unemployment is up, and you know what? Illegal migration is up. So what exactly is Keir Starmer delivering on? And I think that this conference that he's having in Liverpool is the last chance saloon that he has to show that he is in control. You've got infighting within the Labour Party, you've got Andy Burnham, you have Sadiq Khan, and you have a plethora of others who are biting at his heels to take over as Labour Party leader and Prime Minister. It's out of control. He built a majority that was a sandcastle majority. He sold the British public a great pup, and you know what? We're finding out the hard way.
We have to remember, of course, that you have campaigned on behalf of the Conservative Party. Well, so you would see it that way. So, Janita, I wonder what you feel.
Well, gosh, there's a whole little
Yes.
things to go through. So, regarding the farm, it was, as far as talking about avoiding tax, what what went through is that it was, by tax experts, it was said to be tax efficient. The way it looking through the prism of
there's nothing illegal about it.
But
he's a
nothing illegal
socialist.
whatsoever.
He's supposed to pay tax.
There was a piece of land behind his parents' house he bought. It was owned by a trust. He let his parents have it while they were living, but when they died, the ownership retained with him, so he didn't inherit it. He still owned it. But that aside, it does look very unpleasant within the prism of you trying to clean up inheritance tax and saying that people who have more should give more. Now, on the merit of that inheritance tax, it is, and speaking about farmers, I have said that you can't have a one-size-fits-all when it comes to farmers. There are a lot of people who are land-rich but cash-poor. You have to understand that also the merit of the actual inheritance tax is, if you have more, give more towards the collective good. That is something that everyone should agree to. It shouldn't constantly be squeezed the middle because those at the bottom don't have enough to give, those at the top don't want to give, and you don't want to upset the rich people, and so everyone squeezes the middle. You've got to have some give where if you have more, just give more. But it does have to be means-tested because we're not one size fits all. Regarding Andy Burnham, what I do agree with you that what you've got happening now is an implosion that was the undoing of the Tories. Just because you disagree with Keir Starmer, you are giving people in the country an impression that it is chaos within the party. He doesn't have the consolidation of support behind him. That doesn't make you look big and clever because I've got something else I could do. It looks like you cannot get your ducks in a row. That's not the kind of leadership that any person wants to vote for. I'm a Labour voter, and right now it looks like you're in disarray. There are 20 million splinter groups coming off, and I'm not really compelled by any of them. You are being detrimental to your own party. You look better if you all move in one accord and have disagreements behind closed doors. That way people understand that whatever goes on personally when it comes to your own ideology, the greater good is more important to you.
But also, outside of his own area where he is the mayor, people perhaps don't really know very much about Andy Burnham, do they?
I think you have that delusion of living within your bubble. He is so electrifying within that Liverpool, Manchester, that area. He thinks it trickles down to London and the rest of the country. It doesn't, because now you have to introduce the country to you at large, and you also have to become an MP, which is an uphill task.
Yes, he's not an MP at the moment. He is the mayor of Manchester. But where we have to say, I think he's actually done an extremely good job.
He has.
But, I mean, one of the things that is clearly coming out from both of you, we are talking so much about what is happening in the Labour Party, and there is confusion there, and the way in which I love the term that Farage is living rent-free inside Keir Starmer's head. Yeah. But what about the Tory party? Is this the end of the Tories as we have known them?
Well, look, I would argue that Britain is inherently a conservative country. Right? Whether we saw that in...
But that's conservative with a small c, rather than conservative with a large c, which are the politics.
Indeed. And that's why I think the flame of conservatism, as Danny Kruger said a couple of weeks ago, will continue to burn bright. And I think, let's be honest, why are people attracted to Nigel Farage and reform? It's because of what they're offering. They're offering to put the nation first, the British people first, and deliver for what the people voted for so long. You know, curtails to immigration, to cut down the numbers, to make sure that only the brightest and best come to this country, and to put the British people first when it comes to spending the money that is coming from the hard-working taxpayers.
And you're suggesting that that is not what the Tories managed to do. So are we again seeing, as you say, the end of Toryism, the end of conservatism as a political influence in this country?
Well, I think I think 14 years is a phrase that is handed out repeatedly to the Conservative Party of yonder. But I would also say, let's be honest, 5 years of those 14 years were under a coalition government. A big chunk of 3 or 4 years, certainly, towards the end of it, were under the pandemic. And a big chunk of the 3 or 4 years in between were to do with trying to get Brexit across the line. So I think perhaps it's fair to say that somewhere along the line, the Conservative Party wasn't dealt the most fairest of hands when it comes to delivering so much of what it promised. And secondly, let's not forget the vast amounts of the great blob that is the Home Office and the Civil Service literally play out Yes Minister episodes on repeat. So how on earth does anybody get anything done?
The problem, sorry to interrupt you, but is the problem here that we do not have leaders?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much argument about Keir Starmer style, and he is so far behind in the polls. You have got Farage, who is out front before everybody. You've got Kemi Badenoch really hardly making any impression whatsoever. And all of the other parties, I mean, who is the leader these days of the Liberal Democrats, the Greens and all of the other parties? Are we short of really good leaders now?
I think that is the key thing, because when you look at the landscape we live in now, the most galvanizing, the most energized demographic is Gen Z. The language of the day is social media, the internet, a forward-moving new wave of information sharing. You don't have a leader that speaks to them. What really turned the tide for Trump? Because what began with Obama is that he was the first president to really use the internet to campaign. Trump identified that and took it up a notch where he says, I'm going to be the social media president. And he is electrifying on it, whether you like him or hate him. Nigel Farage has picked that up, and that is why you've seen him move so quickly, which is proof of the power of young people and social media, because reform voters, a lot of them are young. And what you find with Labour and Conservatives, you think that the way things used to be are the way things ought to be. No, you have to adapt to survive. And when you're talking about leadership, you've got to speak the language of the day. You've got to speak it in platforms that speak to the language of the day, and they don't really do that very well. Keir Starmer is not the kind of person that's going to know how to use a really good hashtag, but you should be.
But isn't the problem also, very briefly, that unfortunately so much of what appears on the internet is not true? It's very difficult to prove, and therefore it's very easy to influence people in a way.
Take the fights to the internet. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Corrective marketing should be done on a platform where the wrong marketing is being initiated, and they're not speaking that language accurately.
Nigel gets the more views on social media than all the other party leaders and the party handles put together. So that tells you all that you need to know. But secondly, look, real politics is for on the doorsteps, right? And you know what? For the younger generation, the same things matter. Are they going to be able to afford a house? Are they going to be able to raise a family? Are they going to be able to get a job? And you know what? Are they going to be having safety on their streets? And ultimately, it's a leader who can promise and deliver on that is going to be able to win that next election.
And don't harbour the illusion that Nigel Farage is the leader who blames everything at the doorstep of immigrants when that is not true.
I'm going to stop you both there. It's clear the pair of you could go on for at least another half an hour. Sadly, we don't have that time, but may I say thank you very much indeed to Judita Sevilda and Aman Bogle. Thank you both very much indeed. It's been lively and fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, arts editor at The Express, Stefan Kyriasis, has had a great week at the theatre in London's West End. We're going to hear his reviews next as productions of Entertaining Mr. Sloane and 50 First Dates open. This is Sunday with Michael Portillo, but for today with me, Angela Rippon, here on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
While the organisers work, it is lunchtime for the guinea pigs. Let me give Helen you this.
Thank you. There we go. This is Ziggy, and she's one of our 7 rescue piggies that we brought along with us today.
And Helen, you're here with this amazing model village where the guinea pigs are enjoying.
Yeah.
Guinea pigs don't really need as much space as this, though, but it is nice.
It is lovely. I mean, you know, who wouldn't want your own pub and your own nail bar? But on a serious note, the reason we've built such a big enclosure here today is just to provide that message that bigger is always better. Guinea pigs love exploring, they love foraging, you know, it's really good for their mental well-being. So the bigger space you can provide them, the better. And I think ours are having a really nice time today.
Ziggy is getting through that lettuce leaf. I'll leave you to enjoy that. Thank you, Helen, for joining us. Come with me this way as the organisers are continuing to get the event underway here. You can hear the drilling going on because we've got dancing dogs here, because the show here is all about how music is impacting your pet's. Trip Hazard is a Trip Hazard here, and Lucy, who looks after Trip Hazard, you've been on Britain's Got Talent, came 5th on that. Also, European UK dog dancing champions.
Right, yeah.
How'd you get into this?
To be honest, we used to watch it at Crufts when I was younger, and I wasn't allowed a dog of my own, and I thought it was the most magical thing I'd ever seen, the bond between the dog and owner, and I just knew that when I got my first dog, I really wanted to give it a go.
And, I mean, if anyone fancies doing this at home, what's your advice?
Oh, find what your dog really, really loves, their favourite treats, their favourite toy, and definitely use that to teach them and reward them for all the tricks.
Well, have you got a treat for me to perhaps test something out now? Rummaging around for a treat. Right, we've been practising this all morning. Wish me luck. Volt, 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 volt. Hey, there we go. Oh, it was better earlier, but that is something I've learned this morning.
The People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but for today with me, Angela Rippon. Now, the arts editor at The Express, Stefan Kariasis, joins me now to share his reviews of new productions that have been opening in London's West End this week. Stefan, you've had a busy week at the theatre, I think,
September Insanity. This is when all the big shows open, and actually, yet again, big names coming in. And the first one we've got coming up is The Weir, which is a Conor McPherson play, and there's lots of elements of supernatural to it, but the thing that I found the most unbelievable is that it's Brendan Gleeson's West End debut. And frankly, based on this, it is way overdue. The man is magnificent. You can see him there. So it's set in the...
That's not him.
No, that's Kate Phillips.
No,
there we go, at the bar. Yes. But, you know, it's set in the sort of rural wilds of Ireland in a little old pub in a sort of lanes that time has passed by. And he is, as you can see, as craggy and creviced as you imagine this landscape outside. There are howling winds, a massive storm, and people are taking shelter in the pub. And then they sort of start telling ghostly stories. And the playwright, Conor McPherson, has said he kind of doesn't really like writing plays. He likes monologues. So this was almost an exercise in a string of monologues linked together by the most fantastically mundane chit-chat that also gives you a complete picture of who the people are. That wonderful way of just little comments and backwards and forwards that you're like, I know that person, I know that person. Yeah. It's a wonderful piece of writing. There's a newcomer you saw. So the lady there is Kate Phillips. She's a newcomer to town. Some are trying to impress her. Everybody's curious. One by one, starting with the men, they all tell a bit of a ghost story, but they get progressively more real and rooted in their lives. And then she has been quite quiet the whole time. She opens up. She tells a story that does have a, I guess, supernatural element, but it's also gut-wrenchingly personal. It's absolutely devastating, and it's beautifully done. And then it wraps up at the end when Brendan Gleeson, who started off the stories, tells another one, but this time it's about his own lost love. He's still a bachelor, but he goes back, and it's the most haunting, excuse the phrase, but it's just beautiful, and it's a small, simple thing. You saw that pub set, fantastic, hour and 40 straight through. This one's on at the Harold Pinter until December. It's just classy production. It's no bells, no whistles, superb actors on stage, gorgeous storytelling, all about humanity, all about loss, with a gorgeous little bit of folklore woven into it. I absolutely loved it. Loved it.
It sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so please try and catch that.
There is another that I think has had several runs in the West End, Entertaining Mr. Sloan.
Yes, not quite as cosy.
Quite different.
No, so this one is completely outrageous. We've got a little clip, and this is Nadia Fall, who is coming in as the Young Vics artistic director, but she's also directing this with Tamsin Outhwaite, who's the main star of the show. A little bit of them talking about it.
You didn't get scared by the fact that it was that weird? No, I was intrigued. I just thought this is shocking. Shocking even now. I can't imagine how shocking it must have been in the early 60s. and that it was very atmospheric, like it felt like a David Lynch movie, but with a kind of naughty twist. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of me. Yeah. Everyone is the devil in it. No one's got the monopoly of good or evil.
So did you enjoy it?
Yes, and I was shocked. And, you know, we're all jaded by now. And also, this was 1964, I think. Joe Orton wrote this play. And he was always back then very famous for sort of the push and pull with the Lord Chamberlain, what he could get away. And everybody else kind of looked on agog to see, oh, what's he going to get away with this time? And frankly, there's quite a lot of sort of sexy stuff in it. There's also so many allusions to kind of gay life and the leather scene that clearly utterly passed the Lord Chamberlain by and he didn't notice at all, which is amazing. But also, you've just got, I mean, this set, I took this little video of the set, is stunning.
Crikey,
you know when you just walk in and you just think, wow, and you're already in a good mood. So this set is really stunning. So we're in a house that's on the side of a gigantic rubbish tip, and it was supposed to be a big development, but no other houses were ever built. So it's wonderfully isolated, wonderfully strange. That obviously represents the rubbish tip, but also all the lives that have kind of exploded and fallen apart or just hanging there unfulfilled. Beautifully done. And what we have is the landlady, or the owner of the house, is Tamsin Outhwaite as Kath. And she is it's a monstrous character. She's kind of twittery and silly and fun and very girly. She's also a bit matronly. She's also a bit of a cougar. And she is different with every single character that she's with. So you never know who she is. She doesn't really know who she is. She's found this rather charming, handsome young man, and she's lured him back there to be a tenant in her house. And she thinks that she's pulling the strings. He is a complete psychopath. But not in a manipulative, he is manipulating, but you get the impression he doesn't actually know what he's doing. He's also quite dim and wide-eyed. It's that kind of feral instinct to work a situation. So he's sort of charming and seducing her. Her brother is super pompous. It's that wonderful lower middle class where they speak terribly posh and overdo their vowels and H's in the wrong place and that sort of thing. The brother's very pompous and uptight, disapproves, and then is, we are implied, very attracted to the young man as well.
I mean, this has been a play around forever. It's been filmed, it's been
Imelda
televised.
Staunton, people like this.
So many versions of it. Very briefly, anything new in this production that will make us want to see this one?
There's a little bit. They've updated some bits. You get a burst of Kylie at one stage. I think what they've done, they've split it in half, so not 3 acts, 2 acts. It rattles along a lot. I don't know that it's revolutionary. What I do know is that it hit the points where I was still shocked by their behaviour, and I absolutely love that. And there's plenty of modern parallels with that and people's behaviour these days. This willful ignoring of other people's feelings, other people's reactions to anything. So I think in that way it's timely, but it's again beautifully done and very excitingly done at the Young Vic to November the 8th.
I haven't left you much time to talk about the third play you've seen.
50 First Dates. Basically, this is a small show. It's at the Other Palace, which is very close to Buckingham Palace in Victoria. The old Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore film about a girl who every morning wakes up and she's forgotten basically the past year or so after a terrible car accident. So she's in a bit of a Groundhog Day, and this feckless young man blows into town, updated here to become a travel blogger, loves and leaves a woman in every town, but becomes besotted by her. The town folk have been protected her by not allowing her to know what her situation is, because she gets very upset when she realises, and then traumatised and then forgets it again. He wants to do a different approach, so he decides to try and bring her back into life. It's a little musical, hour and 40, very unusual for a musical, straight through, charming. The girl there, Georgina Castle, is Andrew Castle, tennis player's daughter. She's excellent, so is the main guy playing opposite her. I thought it was charming. It's that wonderfully, it's a bit bumpy and almost a bit amateur at the start, but you kind of have a bit of goodwill to it. But it really builds your goodwill, and I was smiling, and by the end, I did shed a little tear, and I didn't expect to. So I loved that as well. So happy days this week, and that's
so the sort of film that the sort of play that really touches your emotion is the good one.
Really lovely,
and the sad,
but not mawkishly, cheaply done. No. It could have just been really cheesy. It did the drama properly as well. I was impressed. I really liked it.
That's one to put on the list.
Yeah.
Stefan, thank you very
surprise.
much indeed. Hope you have a great week at the theatre this week too.
Thank you.
Now, you could enjoy unlimited Great British Getaways with our latest giveaway, because it's our biggest prize to date. And here's Hayley Sparks with all the details that you need.
It's our biggest, greatest Great British giveaway to date. Your chance to win a prize package worth over £104,000. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primero motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas, sky view roof lights, and has all the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure any adventures in your motorhome are taken in style.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, coming up, to mark the 200th anniversary of the birth of the modern railway, a very special event took place in the early hours of this morning in Darlington. We'll reveal all next. But first, let's get your latest news headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Hi there, very good afternoon to you. Our headlines. Sir Keir Starmer has accused Reform UK of promoting a racist policy on immigration. Nigel Farage has pledged to scrap settled status for all non-EU migrants, requiring those who have been granted indefinite leave to remain to reapply under stricter rules. The Prime Minister expected to tell delegates at Labour's conference to focus on unity and the fight against reform. The government's expected to announce plans to build 12 new towns across England in a bid to address the housing crisis, with the 3 in Yorkshire, Buckinghamshire and Greater London to have begun construction by 2029. The government's to give Jaguar Land Rover a major loan after it shut production down because of a cyber attack. It will be used to pay businesses in the company's supply chain, which have been facing financial problems. President Zelensky says at least 4 people have been killed after Russia launched more than 540 drones and missiles in overnight attacks on Ukraine. Polish airspace was partially closed, with jets scrambled in what it has described as preventative action against Russia. And Europe's golfers overcame heckling from their home supporters to take a commanding lead over the USA at the Ryder Cup. Rory McIlroy was singled out for ongoing abuse, but he and Team Europe responded and will take a 7-point lead into today's singles, needing just 3 more points for a first away win since 2012. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with more at 1 o'clock.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. A fine Sunday afternoon to come for many of us. There will be some sunshine in places too, but do watch out for some fog and some frost around tonight. And there will be some rain around through this afternoon as well in the south and the southeast. And that's courtesy of this slow-moving cold front, just dragging its heels a little bit. But otherwise, a fine afternoon to come with a mixture of cloud and sunny spells for many of us. 1 or 2 showers perhaps in the west and more especially across northern parts of Scotland, where a few heavier ones are possible across the Northern Isles. Across the East Anglia region and perhaps also the southeast, thicker clouds here, so feeling a little bit cooler than yesterday with some ongoing showery rain in places. But a fine afternoon for most and temperatures around average for the time of year. As we move into this evening then, still thicker cloud across parts of East Anglia, particularly Kent as well and Sussex and the London area, but any rain tending to die away. A few showers also perhaps for the southwest and parts of Wales, but many other northern and western parts of the UK will have a fine evening with sunny spells and just the odd shower still around across parts of Scotland. And as we go through the course of the evening, those clear skies will tend to lengthen, so many places turning dry with clear and starry skies through this evening and overnight, and that is going to be a recipe for temperatures to fall away quite quickly and also some mist and fog to develop I wouldn't want to rule it out anywhere really, but it's most likely across eastern parts of England, especially East Anglia and the South East. And here it could be quite dense for the morning rush hour on Monday morning. Temperatures in the countryside falling down to mid to low single figures as well, so a fairly widespread grass frost as well. It will be a bright start to the day for many of us though on Monday morning. That fog lifting into low cloud and clearing through the morning, then many parts of England, Wales and Scotland having a fine day with some sunny spells. Notice though for western Scotland the cloud thickens here and it will turn wet and windy through the afternoon. Temperatures around average for the time of year.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, with me, Angela Rippon. Now, on the 27th of September 1825, locomotion number 1 made the world's very first passenger railway journey. It was between Stockton and Darlington, and it was a journey that changed travel forever, because 200 years later, the locomotion number 1 replica has, in the early hours of this morning, retraced that historic journey to Darlington Station, where it paused alongside its modern-day counterpart, the high-speed electric LNER Azuma Darlington train. Well, this is the moment, I think, where Michael really should be sitting here in this chair, because we all know how fascinated he is by trains. But joining me now to talk about this marvellous feat is railway historian Tim Dunn. Tim, please tell me you were on that train, and if you were, what was it like?
Yeah, I was very lucky enough to be at the station today to welcome it in, be part of the group welcoming it into the station it's about 1:15 this morning. So I'm back down in London again now. It's been a busy old day, but yeah, I've been on that train previously on the main line. We took it out for a test run a couple of weeks ago, and we were in those wagons under moonlight. So this little engine pulled us along a branch line. And under test, but this incredible replica train, a complete train, genuinely is a direct link with the past, and lets us understand a little bit what it was like to have technology like this at the time, and then showcase this phenomenal little machine and this train, these vehicles, how we can solve problems today, actually, and how far we've come, and shows the heritage of Britain's genuinely incredible railway network.
It is a pretty little train, actually, isn't it? And if you say that it can help you solve problems today, in what way? I mean, this, compared with that machine it is next to, it's incredibly primitive. So what can we learn from this little thing?
Well, I think that the same problems extend today as today, right? That we need to move people and things from A to B. And what's so lovely about seeing a machine like this, locomotive number 1 replica, of course, is that it genuinely shows us how someone thought, I've got a problem. How do I move coal and people from up there to over there? And actually the answer was railways. And so often today, the most efficient way of moving people around still in railways, because steel wheels on steel rail, these twin strips of steel that connect up this country, and indeed us underneath the sea with the rest of the world across to Milan and beyond. You know, these railways are so often the solution, I think, to so many of today's problems as well, because railways enable us to have these fantastic, back then of course it was coal, not exactly the most environmentally friendly way of doing things, but now we can build trains, as you can see, as we're going over the viaduct there on the Berwick Bridge, the border bridge from Scotland. But you can see that we get connected by these low carbon or carbon-free solutions that take lots of us, up to 1,000 people at any one time from A to B. And that's just a great way of travelling.
Actually, what is also lovely about the way that it's developed is the architecture that's involved with it. I don't mean of the trains themselves, but of the beautiful bridges that there are all over the country. I mean, that was a magnificent bridge to see there. But just remind me, Tim, I know you weren't there at the time in 1885, was it? But people were a bit sceptical about train travel then, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And indeed, we must remember that very first journey that was made by a steam locomotive on a passenger, on a railway line, on a public railway line, it wasn't actually the first passenger journey. We had horse-drawn tram journeys before that in South Wales. And we'd have test experimental engines that broke rails as well, that were hauling freight trains. Trevithick, for example, had an 1804, but it broke the rails. But this was basically a coming together of technology all at one point. And it was, again, Industrial Revolution was not a direct line. We went backwards and forwards like we do today. We make mistakes, we come back and go a different way. So progress is never a direct line. And invention is neither. But yes, people were worried about it, and what was interesting... They thought
it was very fast, didn't they? I mean, it didn't go that fast, actually, did it? But they were worried about the speed.
It would suck the air out of your lungs going through the tunnels. It would be so dangerous, and that it would. I think that this breathing fire monster would probably make cows give sour milk as it passed. Now, thankfully, I think we've come a little bit further beyond those assumptions today, but there are still things to overcome with our railways, and we still have issues to get past. But they still are a great solution. But we did surmount those problems. But what was fascinating was seeing this engine live in front of us. It didn't sound like other steam engines. It didn't sound like other things. No, not at all. And this is what was so exciting about it for so many people. We heard this engine move, often for many of us for the first time, in this very strange design with these pistons going up and down, and this very strange odd motion, Angela, that you won't see anywhere else. But it didn't sound like a train. It sounded like an iron horse that was wheezing and breathing down the track. And it generally seemed, and the driver said it spoke to us as it was going. He was quite emotional about it because this thing is so primeval. It is a Georgian machine. This is pre-Victorian. You have to remember this. 11 years later, they were building main lines out of London after this thing. The South Wales Railway Mania could have over this country. But this little thing, it was a living and breathing machine.
It was a great Cornishman, wasn't it, Trevithick, who actually brought the trains into London, and that other great designer, of course, Isambard Kingdom Brunel. I mean, these are wonderful names that are associated with it. Do you think that if they were around today, they would feel that their vision had actually been accomplished now?
I wouldn't like to suppose what someone who's passed away thinks now, but they surely must be proud. The fact that we're still using rails that are 4 foot 8.5 inches effectively as they were in Stephenson's day, if this is still on train, we're still using much of the same infrastructure, has stood the test of time. A lot of Britain's railway is almost 200 years old. And the border bridge there, I think, is 1850s from memory. I forget it exactly. But that's over 150 years old, some of this stuff, and that's knitting together the UK as a nation, pulling together over the border between Scotland and England. This is still uniting us today. It is still creating romance. It's still creating commerce, industry, and connecting you and me, and these twin strips of steel still unite us and make us better and stronger together.
Well, I know Michael will be so disappointed he's not here. He's actually in Japan making films at the moment about trains, but I think he would love to have been on that machine, and clearly you also got very passionate about it too. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Coming up, English bubbles are now apparently better than French champagne. Well, that's according to the judges at the prestigious International Wine Awards. Will Godley is going to bring us a report next, and we might even get a sample here in the studio. This is Sunday with Michael Portillo, but today it's with me, Angela Rippon, here on GB News.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Ex-Hurricane Gabriel continues to bring some wet and windy conditions across parts of Iberia over the next couple of days, particularly across southern parts of Spain and Portugal through Monday afternoon. There'll continue to be some strong winds and outbreaks of heavy rain. A little drier across parts of France and Italy, but the Balkans continue to see some outbreaks of quite heavy rain as we go through Monday afternoon. It'll then turn a little bit drier towards the middle part of the week, and temperatures for most reaching the mid to high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
The cost of parking, it's increased by, wait for it, 500%.
And they've done that overnight without consultation, right?
Yeah.
So it now costs £4.85 an hour, right? And what's that going to do? It's going to stop people visiting. And it's not easy to get around York, I have to say. One road in, one road out type thing. Congestion around the place. Yes, there's car parking spaces, but goodness me, I mean, this is obviously very, very controversial, and these are the sort of taxes, indirect taxes, that come on all of us. It's now going to cost us so much money just to get there, just to see there. Tell us more.
That's right, Eamon, and the City of York Council have introduced this to try and reduce congestion, to try and get more people on buses, more people cycling to go shopping. But of course, that infrastructure hasn't been put in place. There's not been extra buses put on. There's not been extra bike racks for people to park. And certainly when you're doing a shop, a lot of the shops here are greengrocers, butchers. How are you going to carry all that on a bike? I'd like to introduce you to Karen now. She's just come to pay for parking, expecting that it was going to be 80p. How do you feel when you've just seen this price rise today?
I am really annoyed. I've come out with enough money to pay basically for 2 hours. I'm having my hair done, which then, knowing now that this is, say, triple what it would have been, then my online payment isn't working. So I'm effectively not able to pay, which is really, really, really annoying.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, with me, Angela Rippon, for today. Well, British bubbles are apparently now better than French champagne, and that's according to judges at the prestigious International Wine Awards. Nightimber Vineyard took home the Champion Sparkling Wine Award, making it the very first time that a champagne producer has actually not lifted that particular trophy. Now, the West Sussex Vineyard invited GB News national reporter Will Godley to go along to their vineyard to see their harvest this year.
This isn't Burgundy, Tuscany, or even Marlborough, but that hasn't stopped these vineyards from becoming world famous. Nestled in the rolling hills of the South Downs, harvest is beginning at Nightimber. 500 people will spend the next 2 weeks handpicking the millions of grapes that grow here. Well, it's the earliest they've ever started harvesting here, and thanks to perfect growing conditions, they're expecting to pick enough grapes to make 1.8 million bottles of sparkling wine. And it's a good job too. The sparkling wine made from these grapes has just been named the best in the world, beating champagne for the first time at the International Wine Awards. Senior winemaker Brad Greatrix says it's all thanks to the British climate.
The south of England is absolutely perfect for traditional method sparkling wines. To see now that England, and specifically Nightimber, is the first sparkling wine producer to displace champagne from the so-called, the top step, is just an amazing accomplishment and makes us all so proud.
But no time to celebrate for Brad. Harvest is one of the busiest times of year. Each day, hundreds of punnets filled with grapes arrive here at the pressing centre, ready to be made into wine.
Once the grapes are separated from the vine, it's up to us to, as quickly as possible, get the grapes pressed and the juice extracted and fermentation underway to start the process of creating the wine.
That process starts here as crates move along the conveyor belt and the grapes are dropped into the press. It then takes around 3 hours to squeeze out all of the juice, but it's still a long way from becoming wine.
You have to be very patient in this world. So the earliest that a wine from this year's harvest will be on the market, so to speak, is about 4 years from now.
But the wait should be worth it. Nightimber expect 2025 to be a vintage year for British wines, which has seen a boom in popularity, despite concerns that support is lacking.
If you look at all other wine regions in the world which have set up, they've had a lot of support from government to make it work. Here in the UK, we really don't have the support needed. In order to take us to that next level, have more exports and more money coming into the UK, and finding ways such as having like a wine tourism relief, which would allow businesses to sell wines from their cellar door, encouraging tourism to the local community, would really benefit the economy of the UK.
The Treasury told GB News that they're working closely with the wine sector to drive growth, including by simplifying the duty system. But with English sparkling wine now officially better than champagne, more exports can only be expected. Because when it comes to bubbles, cheers, British is now better. Will Godley, GB News, West Sussex.
And I'm delighted to say that they actually brought back a bottle of the winning, we've got to call it, of course, sparkling wine, not champagne. We're not allowed to call it champagne. And it's not supposed to go with a bang. It's supposed to go with a sigh, which is what it's done. There we go.
Bit of a loud
there we are.
sigh.
Bit of a loud sigh. So there you go.
Thank you so much.
I did not go over the, so now come on then. Is this worth all the hype? It's the Nightimber.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Yes.
Let's have a go, shall we? Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, it's jolly nice. We don't need an expert. We've got two here in the studio.
We've put years of research.
We have, haven't we? We have. But I think, isn't this a wonderful way to start your programme? What have you got in it today, Dawn?
Perfect.
As well as the glass of champagne.
I'm going to put my glass on so I look more intelligent, which I know doesn't work, but hey, I'll give it a go. So we're going to have a full coverage of the Labour Party conference. Of course. Obviously. We've got all the big speeches, all the big policies, if they're actually announcing any, who knows, and their reform obsession as well. And we've also got an incredibly sad story, Angela, about how some of our heroes are having their medals removed from the Imperial War.
Oh, yes!
Museum.
It's Michael Thingamies.
Yes,
He's collected all those Victoria Crosses and they're going to take them out.
We're talking about that and about, are we forgetting what those who went before us really sacrificed in the name of woke? So you don't want to miss that one. And also, what else are we doing? We are doing, the NHS are backing first cousin marriage.
Oh, yes.
Don't want to miss it. It's going to be a cracking show.
Well, it's going to be a cracking show.
Cheers, Angela. Thank you very much.
Not at all. We like the champagne, don't we? Thanks very much indeed for all the guests who've joined us today, including those of you at home. Dawn's up next with The Weekend, but first, here's your weather with Tom Morgan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office.
A fine Sunday afternoon to come for many of us. There will be some sunshine in places too, but do watch out for some fog and some frost around tonight. And there will be some rain around through this afternoon as well in the south and the southeast. And that's courtesy of this slow-moving cold front, just dragging its heels a little bit. But otherwise, a fine afternoon to come with a mixture of cloud and sunny spells for many of us. 1 or 2 showers perhaps in the west and more especially across northern parts of Scotland, where a few heavier ones are possible across the Northern Isles. Across the East Anglia region and perhaps also the southeast, thicker clouds here, so feeling a little bit cooler than yesterday with some ongoing showery rain in places. But a fine afternoon for most and temperatures around average for the time of year. As we move into this evening then, still thicker cloud across parts of East Anglia, particularly Kent as well and Sussex and the London area, but any rain tending to die away. A few showers also perhaps for the southwest and parts of Wales, but many other northern and western parts of the UK will have a fine evening with sunny spells and just the odd shower still around across parts of Scotland. And as we go through the course of the evening, those clear skies will tend to lengthen. So many places turning dry with clear and starry skies through this evening and overnight. And that is going to be a recipe for temperatures to fall away quite quickly and also some mist and fog to develop. I wouldn't want to rule it out anywhere really, but it's most likely across eastern parts of England, especially East Anglia and the southeast. And here it could be quite dense for the morning rush hour on Monday morning. Temperatures in the countryside falling down to mid to low single figures as well, so a fairly widespread grass frost as well. It will be a bright start to the day for many of us though on Monday morning. That fog lifting into low cloud and clearing through the morning, then many parts of England, Wales and Scotland having a fine day with some sunny spells. Notice though for western Scotland the cloud thickens here and it will turn wet and windy through the afternoon. Temperatures around average for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of